happens. What's up, Redmi World? It's Joshua again here with a brand new with this video in which I'm going to attempt to do some type of podcast, which who knows if it will be uploaded. I don't really think so. But I got this microphone, I have this camera recording, I have my favorite code from 2018 I think, and I just love it. But at the same time, this resonates so much with one particular lifestyle that I have, and I'm so proud of it. And even if sometimes I wish I had broken it in order to be with that special person, I'm proud to say that I am child-free. Alright, what's the meaning of that? I'm a millennial born in the 1990s, and lives by himself. He's independent. He's able to make a living and survive and live and enjoy life to whatever extent is necessary, to whatever extent is possible. And I would like to share with you this particular post from childfree, r/childfree. Alright. I like this subreddit in Reddit because its discussion topics and links of interest to child-free individuals, those who do not have children and do not ever want children, biological, adopted, or otherwise. That would be me. If this were a podcast, this would be some sort of first episode. So one more time, this is the one thing that you never pronounce, state, and affirm out loud. From 7 moms living in their 50s, alright? In their 5th decade of life. I'm paraphrasing the entire thing, you know? And it goes, the one thing you never say out loud. From 7 moms in their 50s. And it goes like this. My mom had her best friends over for drinks last weekend. I live with my mom and I'm 24. And when they come over, it's pure laughs, gossips, foods, and drinks. And these women have known me since I was in the womb. They are like family. I was telling them about how all of my best friends are either married, engaged, planning on kids, etc. I told them that sometimes it made me feel lonely to be solely focused on work and travel. To this, they gave me the biggest revelation. They said that as much as they all love their children, if they could go back in time, they wouldn't have had them. This reaffirms this particular theory that I have about being child-free. It's better not to have them and regret it later than to have them and regret it later. If I don't have them right now, and in the end, if I don't have them right now, and in the end, what's the word? If I don't have them right now, and by the time I'm very old, assuming I've reached that age, and I don't have any kids, and I regret it, that's still much easier to tolerate than having kids and regret it. Let's continue. I look at my mom, who was quiet, and she said, as much as I love you, and I don't regret you, if I could travel back in time and tell my younger self to not have children or marry, I would do that in a heartbeat. Keyword: it does not reduce the amount of love that they have for you. I'm pretty sure my mom loves me. My mom has demonstrated that. But let's be honest, having a child is not cheap. If it was hard back in the 80s and the 90s, now in the 2020s, it's even harder thanks to everything being so freaking expensive. And with the pandemic of the 2020, everything went to hell. They then move on to reminiscing about the opportunities they missed, the people they were, the dreams that they all lost, all because of how they were pushed to have children and marry by everyone around them. They also move on to agree the fact that children are sweethearts until the age of 5, and it all goes downhill from there. It is crazy to think that 7 different women who have led different lives agree that down the line you look back and wish you hadn't married that person or had those children. One more time, I'm pretty sure my mom loves me and I love her, but I'm pretty sure that maybe if she stated and said that if she could go back in time and tell her younger self not to get married or not to have kids, I wouldn't blame her. I mean, after all, I'm child-free, I'm single. The second is sometimes a little lonely and it's a little painful sometimes, but I'm dealing with it. All I know is that it takes vulnerability to open and say those things out loud. And I sincerely hope that I don't ever end up like them. That's all. And I have to say that I hope the same. I am already that single uncle whose nephews and nieces talk about like he's that single young uncle that lives there and works there, and it's single and it's fun, cool and smart. I mean, yes I am, I speak English, when in fact my first language is Spanish. You don't believe me? Aquí está la prueba. Ahora estoy hablando en español e mi voz suena distinta. Agora eu falo meu português, mas isso não é assunto agora. Disastre. Anche parlo italiano, ma questa è una storia per altra volta. Now, back to the topic at hand, that is the one thing that you never say out loud from 7 months, living the 5th decade of their life. And this particular post has already 97 comments. Those are the best part. Let's take a look. And it goes, this person says, I hear this from my mom's friends all the time. My grandmother was a huge supporter of women living in their own lives and not being forced into a marriage and kids that they don't want because they have no other options. We can benefit from their wisdom. We finally have a choice. This makes me wonder that many of our grandmothers, not just mine, didn't have a choice. For this type of reason, it's totally fair that feminism wants some sort of equality. I totally agree with that. They do have the right to exist, even if some of their most evil integrants, even if some of its most evil members end up behaving like a misandrist, but that's another topic for another discussion that I'm not going to talk about here. Then this other person replies to that person whose comment I just read. My grandmother was the same. She's the only one who fully supported my choice and pushed me to stick with it and not to be tempted with anyone after I expressed not wanting children. I miss her every day. This is beautiful. This is fantastic. I just love it. Then this other person says, it's an independent comment, and it goes, all the older women in my life have said those exact words. Sometimes they say that they envy my life since I don't have a child. Being a mom is a lot of work, and frankly, it isn't very rewarding. Depends. You have to be sometimes a friend, sometimes you have to be a mother, sometimes you have to be a guide, sometimes you have to be a leader, alright? And sometimes you can't push your beliefs onto your kids because they are their own person. I'm talking to you, goddamn Mary Cooper, and your fucking desire to get your kids baptized. If they don't want to, they don't, and that's the end of the story. Props to Soy Perry for being a freaking disgustingly talented actress whose character now I just hate, but not as much as that other character, Audrey. I'm talking about this series called Young Sheldon, by the way. Oh god, some of these characters are just hateful. I'm talking about Sheldon and his mother, which is a spin-off from The Big Bang Theory. Moving on to this, back to this, it goes. This other person replies to the comment which I just read, and it goes, it is only rewarding if your child is successful, but considering how many people have children who are addicts, lazy, criminals, and or aren't moved out of the house at a reasonable age, that's just too much of a gamble, and frankly, I couldn't agree more. It's not like me or my sibling are like that, because we are adults and we kind of did our lives with different varying results, which I'm not going to discuss here. However, I have seen too many kids that frankly are just a bunch of useless idiots. It's okay to encourage your inner child. I totally get that. I mean, I do that, And that's the reason why I read books. This is an autograph by Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin. I love this type of fantasy books. But guess what? You need money to buy the things that as a child you used to want to, and probably you were not able to buy. Therefore, yes, stop being a freaking childish, irresponsible wimp and idiot. Stop being a leech. I think that's the name. Leech. I like this one. My silent generation mother-in-law said on her deathbed that if she had to do it all over again, she would never have had kids. This is when she had 2 loving sons and both their wives visiting her and trying to do things for her. My brother-in-law asked why she had kids, and then my mother-in-law said that's what everybody did back then. My mother-in-law was a conventional housewife happily married to an affluent man and spent most of her time playing golf, which she loved. According to her era, she had the best dream life. I'm surprised, honestly. This person then replies to that one whose comment I just read. That is so interesting. My grandmother was a greatest generation affluent housewife, and she said that none of the women she knew would have had children, but that was part of the job of being a married woman in that social class. And then this other person replies to that other one by saying, lots of folk like to romanticize earlier generations because things were simpler, families stayed together, and whatever else. Unfortunately, alas, there's always a dark side to everything. Like the kids and teens that idolize South Korea thanks to K-pop, or Japan thanks to anime, and me with Finland thanks to the language, the weather, the culture, especially the weather, the snow, and everything else. Yep. Unfortunately, there's always a dark side to everything, and that is, imagine being a conventional housewife during such an era and your husband, aka sole provider, was abusive or adulterous. And that wouldn't be so nice. Indeed. Then let's move on to one more comment that says, my mom says the same to me. In no way does it diminish her love and affection for me, but she has told me she probably would not have had kids if she could go back and warn herself. She's very okay with my decision not to have any kids, and I'm very grateful for her support. How's that? I must confess, I love the grammar of the second sentence. The topic sentence is, my mother says the same to me. And then it goes, in no way, I like that opening adverb. In no way does it diminish her love and affection for me. In no way does it diminish. Wonderful use of inversion in English. I would expect that kind of grammatical structure in the German language, but frankly, it's wonderful and reassuring and refreshing to see it in the English language. I feel like this is some kind of writing language, you know, the type of language that you would use in a document. However, it's not very common to see it in spoken speech. Am I right? If anyone watches this video, if it gets uploaded, please let me know in the comment section. I suppose you can. Is anyone watching? I don't think anyone is. Nah, that's okay. Let's continue. And by the way, everything that I say, that I read, most of it will be projected right here. This other person replies to that one whose comment I just read. Exact same for me over here. The exact same thing for me over here. My 2 younger siblings were planned, but my older sister and I were not. Mom had us at 19 and 21. She loves us, but if she could go back and do it again, she wouldn't. She's also very supportive of my child-free life. I feel like those that can admit they kind of wish they didn't have kids, I feel like those that can admit they kind of wish they didn't have kids also tend to be the ones that gets us child-free folks. I agree with that. My mom supported any decision that I made, meaning Meaning, what can I say? How can I say this? Meaning that if I decided, wait a minute. Meaning that if I decided to be child-free, or if I decided to have a family, she would definitely support it. But one thing is for sure, and that would be the fact that she wouldn't be babysitting my kids. She wouldn't be babysitting my hypothetical kids. I mean, she didn't do it with my sister's kids, so I don't think she wouldn't have done it for me. Even if that confirmed the narrative that since I'm the younger sibling, I'm probably the most spoiled. I probably may have been the most spoiled. And then this other person replies, this post reminds me of how almost every time I travel and I'm posting stuff about every day to my Instagram story, my mom will always eventually reply with something along the lines of, wow, you guys really know how to travel. I wish I had done that more when I was younger and I had the energy. She would obviously never say what she really means, that we all know what she's thinking without saying it. So more than once though, including on our last trip, I respond with, now you know why you're not getting grandkids. Lol. Ha! Savage! But I feel like it's savage but not passive aggressive, you know? Unless there's more to this story, but I love that. Now you know why you're not getting grandkids. Oh no. My mom is going to get probably grand dogs or grandcats, which she doesn't even like. Let's continue. Alright, let's continue. I just need to reply very quickly to this message. No. And then this other person replies, my mom is always pushing me to enjoy life. Travel, go out with friends, do the things I like, as long as there is no problem about money. Enjoy every minute of life. In my case, I try to enjoy it too, and I guess I do, even if sometimes I feel like I'm surviving. At this point, who isn't? Who isn't? But yeah, I enjoy it. Even making this type of stuff. Doing this type of videos is kind of enjoyable. From my narrations, my calligraphy stuff, and all that things. Even my cat videos! I have to admit it. Even my cat videos are enjoyable to do, I think. Another message on Messenger. And then this other person replies, I think we're starting to see a cultural shift in how people talk about parenthood in general. I'm a hairstylist, and in the last couple of years I've noticed the ratios shift between support and bingos. Where it used to be mostly bingos with the odd fellow child-free clients, those have become the minority. Far more often now, it's people who actually admit to understanding why having kids isn't all it's cracked up to be, even if they don't outright say they wouldn't have kids if they could go back, though some have. Okay, that was a little hard, so let's separate it into circumstantials, like this is some sort of English certification exam, and let's dissect these sentences. Far more often now, it's people who actually admit to understanding why having kids isn't all it's cracked up to be, even if they don't outright say they wouldn't have kids if they could go back, though some have. That was a little hard. I wonder if anyone else had problem understanding that. I'm not saying that you wrote incorrectly. No, of course. I'm not saying your name on Reddit, but yes, come on. That was a little hard to understand. This other person replies, I'm also a hairstylist and I've noticed this as well. And frankly, thank God, it's been a long time coming. Again, I think we're starting to see a cultural shift in how people talk about parenthood in general. I'm a hairstylist, and in the last couple of years I've noticed the ratio shift between supports and bingos, where it used to be mostly bingos with the odd fellow child-free client. Those have become a minority. Far more often now, it's people who actually admit to understanding why having kids isn't all it's cracked up to be, even if they don't outright say it. I suppose it's the phrasal verbs that made me confused. Though some have. And then Then this other person, I'm gonna stop here, alright? And it goes, my grandma, 88, written 9 hours ago, as of the moment that this video is being made, which is June, the last days of June 2024. My grandma is 88 years old. She has Alzheimer's, which has made her lose most of her filter. All my life she's been the one who only cares about marriage and babies, rarely about school, career, traveling, hobbies, etc. And a couple years ago she admitted to me that when she got engaged at 22, which was considered old in the 1950s, she realized she wanted to call it off. She loved her life, having a job, going out in the city with friends, and didn't understand why she had to give it all up so soon. Her parents basically made her go through with it, and she had to leave her job, family and friends, and home city when my grandpa was stationed in another state and she became pregnant. Oh my god. And then this other person replies, quoting this quote from the previous comment, saying, quoting the lines from the previous paragraph. When she got engaged at 22, which was considered old in the 1950s, she realized she wanted to call it off. Stories like that are so common and sad. I'm so grateful to live in an age and place where most people don't pressure women like that anymore. And frankly, it's not like it's not like mankind is going to go extinct, you know? I totally think that. And then this other person replies to that other reply. It's like, whoop, 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 like that. Imagine how many unhappy marriages and unhappy childhoods could have been prevented if women weren't pressured to marry and have kids. And how much further along we would be right now if women were always encouraged to fulfill their potentials and talents. Beautiful. One more and we're going to call it off, alright? We're going to wrap it up with this one last comment. And it goes like this. Let's see. It goes like this. A good friend of mine ended up having twins. She told me that as much as she adores her boys, she really misses the life she had before. Her main thing? The worrying. She has been worried about them every single day from the moment she found out she was pregnant, over 6 years ago. And this comment was written during the last days of June in the year 2024. My mom said similar. As much as she loves me and my brother, she said that if she was my age in 2024 and got pregnant, she wouldn't have kept us. She doesn't blame me at all for not wanting kids, which is such a nice relief, but probably helps that my brother already gave her 3 grandkids and 1 more on the way. When I handed in my 2 weeks notice at my last nanny job, the dad was like, are you gonna remain in childcare? And I laughed. Nope, I'm done with this. And he said, yeah, I don't blame you, lol. This was a dad who had a very clingy daughter and who'd look at me like a godsend every time I arrive for my shift, lol. I wouldn't be too surprised if he regretted all the effort they put into getting pregnant. She was their miracle child. Most good parents will admit they missed their lives before. They won't pretend it's the easiest thing in the world and everyone should do it. Let's stop right there. That was a fascinating thing to read. And this type of things kind of reassures the fact that many people just don't want kids, and that's it's good to know that in this time and age, it's good to know that we can make the choices, we can make the decision to have or not to have children, and we have multiple options. As you can see, what I'm doing right now is one of it, and I enjoy it. Doesn't mean I don't want to get married. I would have liked to do it. And if the opportunity presents itself, I will gladly jump into that boat. And most importantly, it would be with a loving, affectionate, woman who accepts me for who I am and who gives me unconditional affection. And some intimacy. Different types. But that's another topic for another video. Thank you so much, Brave New World, for being here, and I'll see you later. Farewell. Wait. Farewell.